Hi, Reddit. I'm Tyler, 26, and last year my parents forced me to join a gym. Not for my health, not because I wanted to, but because my sister was getting married and they thought I was too embarrassing to be in the wedding photos. I went along with it just to shut them up. But what happened a year later? Well, let's just say it didn't go the way they expected. I always knew my parents played favorites. My older sister Tiffany was their perfect golden child, a straight-A student, well-mannered and engaged to a respectable guy from a good family. And then there was me, the disappointment. I wasn't particularly ambitious, had a regular job, and, according to them, I had let myself go. To be fair, I wasn't overweight, but I wasn't ripped either. I liked my food, I liked my video games, and I liked not being judged every 5 seconds for how I looked. But apparently, my existence was a problem because one night during dinner my mom dropped the bomb. Tyler, you need to lose some weight before Tiffany's wedding. I blinked. What? My dad nodded. We signed you up for a gym membership. I scoffed. You what? Mom sighed dramatically, like I was being unreasonable. Honey, we're only trying to help. You'll be in so many pictures, and we just want you to look presentable. Presentable, as if I were some charity case they needed to fix before shoving me in front of a camera. Tiffany, of course, said nothing. She just sat there stirring her soup and letting them do her dirty work. I leaned back, crossing my arms. So, let me get this straight. You don't care about my health, you don't care about what I want, you just don't want me to ruin Tiffany's wedding aesthetic? Dad rolled his eyes. Don't be dramatic. Mom smiled like she was doing me a favor. You'll thank us later. No, I wouldn't, I thought. I knew arguing was pointless, so I shrugged. Fine, whatever. They beamed as if they had just solved world hunger. I had no intention of actually going, but as it turned out, that decision was about to change my life. The next day, I showed up at the gym just to get them off my back. I figured I'd walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, snap a sweaty selfie as proof, and then go grab a burger afterward. But then I met Brandon. Brandon was one of the trainers, mid-30s and built like a damn superhero, but not in a douchey way. He saw me standing there looking lost and walked over. First time. I nodded. Yeah, got signed up against my will. He smirked. Ah, one of those, huh? I sighed. Yeah, my parents think I'm too embarrassing for my sister's wedding. His smile faded. Damn, that's rough. I shrugged. I'm used to it. He tilted his head. So, what's the plan? I blinked. The plan? He grinned. Are you just here to check a box, or do you actually want to see what you can do? That was the first time someone didn't make me feel like crap about my body. Brandon didn't treat me like a project. He didn't guilt me or act like I was a lost cause. He just asked what I wanted, and for some reason, I decided to find out. I kept coming back. Not for my parents, not for Tiffany, but for me. Brandon helped me figure out a routine, one that didn't make me want to die. At first, it sucked. My muscles ached, I hated cardio, and I was tempted to quit every single day, but then something changed. I started feeling different, not just physically but mentally. I had more energy, I slept better, and my confidence slowly crept back. And the best part? My parents had no idea. Months passed, and suddenly the wedding was only a few weeks away. I had lost weight, sure, but more than that, I had transformed. My body was stronger, leaner, more defined. My posture changed, and even my face looked different. I wasn't the same guy who walked into that gym months ago, and I was about to prove it. The week before the wedding, Mom called me downstairs. I walked in, and they were all there. Mom, Dad, Tiffany, her fiancé Nathan, the whole picture-perfect crowd. Mom clapped her hands. Okay, sweetheart, let's see if your suit fits. I smirked. Yeah, let's. She handed me the same suit they'd gotten for me months ago. 2 sizes too big. I took it, went upstairs, and put it on. When I walked back down, their faces said it all. Mom blinked. It's big. Dad frowned. You lost weight. I crossed my arms. Guess I did. Tiffany's fiancé, who had barely spoken to me before, suddenly looked impressed. Dude, you look good. Tiffany elbowed him. Mom forced a smile. Well, I suppose that's nice. I grinned. Oh, it gets better. Then I rolled up my sleeves, and that's when they saw it. My arms weren't just toned, they were ripped, defined muscle with veins popping. Mom's jaw dropped. Tiffany's fiancé muttered, "Holy!" And Tiffany actually looked pissed because, for once in her life, she wasn't the center of attention. Mom cleared her throat. "Well, that's unexpected." Dad nodded. "Guess the gym was a good idea after all." I chuckled. "Oh, for sure." Then I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "Best decision I ever made." Their faces dropped because they knew this wasn't for them anymore. I walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. They wanted me to be presentable for the wedding, fine, but they had no idea just how much I was about to steal the show. The day of the wedding arrived. I wasn't nervous or dreading it. In fact, I was excited. Not because I cared about my sister's big day, but because my parents had spent months trying to mold me into their perfect +1, and now they were about to see just how much I had changed. And trust me, they weren't ready. I put on my new suit, tailored, sleek, and fitted perfectly. The moment I looked in the mirror, I knew I wasn't just attending this wedding. I was about to steal the damn show. When I arrived at the venue, the reactions were immediate. A few distant relatives barely recognized me. Tiffany's bridesmaids stared openly, and my parents looked like they were having an existential crisis. Mom was the first to speak. You bought a new suit?" I smirked. "Yeah, didn't want to look unpresentable." She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. Dad, meanwhile, frowned. "You've been working out," as if it were a personal attack. I nodded. "Yep, almost a year now." His lips pressed into a thin line, as if this were somehow bad news. Tiffany, standing nearby with arms crossed, muttered, "Well, it's not like this day is about you." But that's where she was wrong. At the reception, things got hilarious. Tiffany's new husband, who had never given me the time of day before, suddenly wanted to be my best friend. "Dude, what's your routine?" he asked, taking a sip of his beer. "You bulk first, then cut, or did you just go straight into a deficit?" I raised an eyebrow. Where was this energy before? But the best part was that Tiffany's friends, who had completely ignored me at every family event, were now hovering. One even leaned over and whispered, "I swear, I don't remember you looking like this." I just smiled, because here's the thing. I wasn't interested. I didn't do this for them. I did it for me. My parents, however, were fuming. At one point, I overheard Mom whispering to Tiffany, "He's acting so cocky now." Tiffany scoffed. "Right, it's so annoying." I almost laughed when they thought I was out of shape, treating me like an embarrassment. Now that I actually feel good about myself, that's a problem too. Make it make sense. Then came the moment I was waiting for. Family photos. Mom had spent months worrying about how I'd ruin them, but now I stood front and center, confident as hell. When the photographer reviewed the pictures, even he muttered, "Damn man, you look sharp." Tiffany's expression was priceless. By the end of the night, I was thriving. Meanwhile, my parents looked miserable. Not because anything had gone wrong, but because, for the first time, they weren't in control of me. And Tiffany hated that I was getting attention. But that was her problem. As I left, I turned to my parents and said, "Oh, by the way, thanks to the gym membership, the best decision I ever made." Then I walked out, leaving them to stew in their own regrets. After the wedding, I thought my parents would finally leave me alone. I was wrong. A week later, Mom called me up, fake as ever. "Tyler, sweetheart, your father and I were talking, and we think it would be so nice to have a little family dinner, just us." I smirked. This wasn't a family dinner. It was a trap. I showed up anyway, not because I was falling for it, but because I wanted to see what ridiculous plan they had cooked up this time. The second I walked in, I knew exactly what was happening. Sitting at the dinner table, looking painfully uncomfortable, was a random woman I had never seen before. A setup, of course. Mom beamed. "Tyler, this is Amanda. She's Tiffany's friend from college. She's single, and we thought you two might get along." Amanda, bless her soul, looked like she wanted to disappear. I just sighed. "Wow, subtle guys." Dad scoffed. What's wrong with meeting someone nice? I leaned back. Oh, nothing. Just funny how for years you treated me like an embarrassment, and now suddenly you're trying to marry me off. Mom's smile faltered. We were just trying to help. I chuckled. Oh, like how you helped by forcing me into a gym so I wouldn't ruin your wedding photos? Dad sighed heavily. Tyler, let's not be dramatic. I shot back. Because here's the thing. You didn't do any of this for me. You did it to make yourselves look better. Silence followed. Meanwhile, Amanda looked as if she were rethinking her entire life, picking at her napkin like she wanted to sink into the floor. I almost felt bad for her. Almost, because she wasn't the problem. They were. Dad, now visibly frustrated, leaned forward. Listen, son, we don't want to fight. We just think it's time you started focusing on your future. You're in great shape now. You're looking better than ever. Why not use that to your advantage? I raised an eyebrow. Use it how, exactly? Mom jumped in. To meet someone nice now that you know. She gestured vaguely at me, as if I were some home renovation project they had finally completed. I just laughed, a deep, genuine laugh. Because, wow, they weren't even hiding it anymore. Tiffany, still looking annoyed, muttered under her breath. You're being ungrateful. That wiped the smile off my face. I turned to her. My patience is officially gone. Ungrateful? For what exactly? She rolled her eyes. For everything we did for you. If we hadn't pushed you to go to the gym, you'd still be. She stopped, but I knew exactly what she was about to say. Still be a disappointment. And that pissed me off. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. You know what, Tiffany? I said, voice steady but sharp. You, Mom, and Dad have spent my entire life treating me like a damn charity case, as if I were some problem that needed fixing. Mom gasped. Tyler, that's not. I cut her off. You guys didn't care about me getting healthy. You cared about making me fit into your perfect little family image. You were embarrassed of me. That's the truth. Silence. Dad clenched his jaw but said nothing. Tiffany shifted uncomfortably. Mom looked like she had just been slapped. Then, out of nowhere, Amanda, the poor girl they had dragged into this mess, spoke up. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go. She stood abruptly. Mom's head snapped toward her. Amanda, wait. She held up a hand. No offense, but this is weird. I don't know why you thought setting me up with your son at a family dinner was a good idea, but I'm not interested in whatever this is. Then she turned to me. For what it's worth, Tyler, you seem cool. I smirked. Thanks. Amanda grabbed her bag and bolted. The moment the door shut behind her, Mom lost it. This is your fault. She was a lovely girl, and you scared her off. I laughed loudly. You ambushed me with a setup date at a dinner where I was supposed to get scolded like a child. She was uncomfortable from the moment I walked in. That's on you. Mom clenched her fists. We were just trying to help you find a nice girl. You don't get to do that. I cut in. Not after everything. Not after treating me like garbage for years and then suddenly deciding I was good enough now that I looked the way you wanted. Tiffany let out a frustrated sigh. God, Tyler, why are you so angry? That did it. I turned to her and, for the first time in my life, I let her have it. I'm angry, I said, voice cold. Because all of you made me feel like I wasn't worth anything unless I fit into your stupid, shallow standards. Tiffany scoffed. That's not. No, let me finish, I snapped. She went quiet. For years, I let you make me feel less than. I let you talk down to me, guilt me, and push me around. And for what? Because I didn't look presentable enough for your wedding? Because I wasn't your perfect sibling? Tiffany opened her mouth, then shut it again. Dad stayed silent, but Mom went for the low blow. You wouldn't have changed if it weren't for us. I stood still, folded my arms, and doubled down. We gave you the push you needed. You're in the best shape of your life, and you want to act like that's all you're doing. She shook her head. No, Tyler, you should be thanking us. I stared at her and slowly smiled. Fine. You want to thank me? Here it is. I stepped closer, locking eyes with her. Thank you, I said, for showing me exactly who I never want to be. Thank you for making me realize that no matter how much I change, It'll never be enough for you." She flinched. "Thank you," I continued, "for treating me like I was worthless, because now I know my worth, and it's a hell of a lot higher than this family dinner." Then I grabbed my keys and walked out. As I stepped outside, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: relief, like I had finally cut the cord tying me to their approval. I wasn't doing this for them anymore. Never again. And for the first time, that felt really, really good. I didn't expect to hear from my parents again, not after completely shutting them down at that dinner. But of course, I underestimated just how desperate they could get. Less than 24 hours later, my phone rang, and when I saw Mom's name on the screen, I just laughed. They were really about to try this, huh? I didn't answer. I let it ring. Then another call, then another. Finally, a text popped up. "Tyler, we need to talk. Call me back ASAP." Yeah, that wasn't happening. Over the next week, they tried everything. The guilt trip texts, the fake concern, the classic "we're still your parents" speech. Even Tiffany joined in with a long, dramatic paragraph about how I was overreacting and hurting the family. I didn't reply to any of it, because for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. Then one night, Dad called and, against my better judgment, I picked up. "Tyler," he started, his voice tired. I leaned back on my couch. "Dad," he sighed, "are we really going to do this?" I smirked. "Do what?" He sounded frustrated, as if we were strangers. I raised an eyebrow. "You mean like how you and Mom treated me for years?" "Yeah, it's weird, right?" he replied. Silence. Then, in a flat tone, he muttered, "Your mother is very upset." I laughed loudly. "Oh no, not Mom. Say it ain't so." "No, seriously," I cut in. "Did she actually expect me to roll over and thank her for treating me like garbage my whole life?" Dad let out a long sigh. "You're being childish." That pissed me off. I sat up. "You think I'm the one being childish?" "Tyler, no," he snapped. "Let's talk about this. You guys spent years treating me like an embarrassment, as if I wasn't good enough to be part of this family. And the second I started standing up for myself, that's when I became the problem." He went silent. "I wasn't done," I continued. "And you know what the funniest part is? If I had stayed the way I was, if I had never gone to the gym, never lost weight, you'd still be treating me like I was beneath you." More silence. Then I smirked. "You sure about that?" "Because I was. I knew exactly how you operated." Dad cleared his throat. "Look, we just want to move forward." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so now that I look the way you wanted, you suddenly want a relationship?" "Tyler, that's not," Dad cut in. "I'm not stupid. You guys never wanted me around when I was unpresentable, but now that other people actually respect me, now you suddenly care." He exhaled sharply. I shook my head. "No, I don't owe you anything." Then I hung up. That was the last time I spoke to them, and honestly, it felt damn good. The months that followed were some of the best of my life. I focused on myself, my work, and my goals. I built real friendships. I met people who valued me for who I was, not just how I looked. And my parents, they stayed miserable. At one point, Tiffany tried again. She sent a message out of nowhere. "Hey, it's been a while. I miss you." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed back, "You missed the version of me you could control. That guy's gone." Then I blocked her, because I was done for good. About a year later, I ran into someone from the wedding, one of Tiffany's bridesmaids. She did a double take when she saw me. "Holy crap, Tyler," she smirked. "Damn, you look amazing." I shrugged. "Thanks." After a pause, she grinned. "So, you ever think about dating?" I chuckled. "Maybe, but here's the thing. I wasn't rushing for anyone because for the first time in my life, I was perfectly happy on my own.